Good to go? Awesome. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for joining. So today, we're going to be talking about how we can connect and protect governments in the AI era. But before we do that, quick little housekeeping is that here you have to use the app to be able to hear through your headphones. If you don't want to use headphones, I just ask you just move up closer to be able to hear me. I do talk loud. Hopefully it's not too loud in everybody's ears because I have a habit of yelling. But before we get started here, I kind of want to introduce myself. My name is Matthew Dietz. I've been here at Cisco about 4 years. I lead a lot of the AI initiatives across all of our global industries and really lean into my experience as a former government CIO. Before coming to Cisco, I was a CIO for a government and led a lot of the digital transformation efforts during the age of COVID, which I feel like is the same scenario we're in now in this age of AI, where, you know, just like during COVID and everything moving to this digital first experience, I had leaders of mine, I'm sure many of you have, that come and they say, hey, there's a lot of this neat stuff. We need to do it, implement it, make it happen. And I was like, that's neat. I still have my daily job to focus on. I still have other things I need to worry about, but let's try to make this happen. So I feel like this is the same kind of experience that a lot of our IT leaders are experiencing today in the age of AI, where everyone's telling them to implement AI, but not how or why, and then also make sure it's secure. Make sure that, you know, this isn't going to actually do anything else. And so, you know, a lot of what we do here at Cisco kind of lends into that. And so we've kind of focused in a couple different areas moving forward is around that AI-ready data center for the first pillar of ours. And we talked about this today in the keynote. If you saw the keynote, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But, you know, there's a ton of different use cases that AI is starting to bring in this realm for a lot of government agencies across the board. You know, data centers no longer are going to be optional. These are going to be something that is now shared across state agencies, federal agencies, and be a huge focal point for a lot of our customers. And it's going to start driving a lot of these AI, use cases, not just in government, but when we're talking about, the SLED, the state and local government, we're seeing a lot of use cases that are starting to focus on things like healthcare, education, justice, because, they serve all those pillars within the community. And so, Cisco really is focusing on, powering that AI-ready data center, driving digital resilience, as well as, providing those future-proof workplaces. That's kind of a mouthful. And the reason that we're kind of focused on that is because a lot of these different use cases, are kind of enhancing what a lot of our government agencies have already undertaken. It's coming into that digital age. It's providing a work environment that can be hybrid, that can be on-prem, as well as start driving some of this, AI-powered tool sets as well as our networks. And so we're starting to see this change, and a lot of this change is driving a lot of the value that Cisco actually brings. And so, as you see here, we start looking at the different ways that AI is starting to impact different segments of government. From public safety, that's a huge one right now, especially here in the United States. With the Olympics coming to LA, also FIFA World Cups coming to many, many of the cities. And so it's not just how can we use AI in our operations, but how can we leverage this and drive this forward for a lot of our constituents and our citizens and our communities as well. And why that is important, and I think why we have to tell that story as IT leaders, is that when I was a CIO, and we wanted to upgrade our network infrastructure, I didn't go to my political leaders and tell them, hey, I want to drive 100 gig connections between all my sites. I want to do this because we're generating a ton of data. We're generating a ton of interactivity that we need a network to support. If I did that, they would have said, neat, I don't know what that means, but that costs too much money. But what instead I did is I said, hey, with this network, now we're able to drive some different ways that we can interact with the citizens in our community. We can drive telehealth. We can start driving, connected justice type environments and applications. And because of that, I was able to take a story that is based in technology and get my politicians and my leaders to care. And so I think that's kind of what we need to start focusing on as well when we start talking about AI, is that we need to tell a story with it. And the reason we need to tell stories is that we have to showcase the value that AI is going to bring to our leaders, but also understand how it can benefit us as IT leaders, especially in the AI ops space. I don't know about you all, but one of the things that was very difficult for me was trying to implement a lot of this stuff without understanding or leveraging the same tools to handle the impact that it was going to have on my network and security. So, as we start looking at the way that AI is starting to power the future, we need to understand also the impact it's going to have across the board. And we all know it is. I'm not telling you anything new. AI is bringing a ton of different money across the, every single different industry. It's generating, new efficiencies. It's driving the ability to augment our workforce. It's driving a ton of change, so everyone is interested. I knew exactly the point in which AI reached a level in which was going to cause a bit of a pain for me. It's when my mother sent me a message out of the blue and she said, "Have you heard of this thing, ChatGPT?" And that moment I knew, goodness. Now AI is going to be on everyone's mind. It's going to be the talk of the town. Now everyone wants to do it, even if they don't understand it, they want to implement it. And so we see the positive impact that it's going to have from a financial standpoint. And so because of that, we're starting to realize that there's actual benefits and impacts to the overall business operations. So now the conversation's changed. Now it's not about just the technology. Now we're starting to see that the increased automation and efficiencies, this board is showing me 2 slides, so there we go. All right, so I'm on the right one now. So it's starting to show the increased efficiency and automation. We're starting to see how we're going to automate, orchestrate a lot of things like network, design, network monitoring, observability. We're able to start automating some of these workloads to give us, more and more information at our fingertips. And the enhanced decision making is probably one of the greatest ones that we're seeing. We announced quite a few things at the keynote this morning that is going to further enhance that. And this is really exciting because we're taking this idea of bringing, information to your fingertips, and now we're changing that into expertise at your fingertips, contextual awareness at your fingertips. So not only are you being alerted on something that's happening in your network, but you're able to then understand the contextual basis of that alert, what it's affecting, the different systems that are connected to it, and it affects it as well. Oops, apologies. As we start moving forward, we start seeing the workforce enhancement. I don't know anybody here in government agencies, how difficult it is for you to hire individuals. It was very difficult for me because trying to pay what the private industry paid as a public official was very, very difficult. But now we can take some of this AI stuff, we can start automating and orchestrating a lot of these mundane workloads to then upskill and uplift our current workforce. We're augmenting our workforce. We're putting an exoskeleton per se around a lot of these individual skill sets, uplifting them. And this is something that a lot of IT teams now are starting to see and leverage, because this is a focal point on how you approach something new that is innovative in the technology realm, such as AI, with a workforce that may not have the skill set to adapt it. But now with the ability to open up the time, we can upskill. And then of course, everyone cares about what are we going to do in terms of cost savings? So we're starting to see AI actually bring a return on value, lowering the total cost of ownership. This is starting to become something that is easily, adaptable. I wouldn't say easily. It's becoming easier to adapt and implement AI without, actually costing millions and millions of dollars. Now we're starting to focus less on, just the GPU stuff and realizing that, hey, a lot of these AI use cases you can run on CPUs. It doesn't have to always be the Ferrari. We can start small, we can crawl, walk, run, and that's kind of what we're focused on. And the types of service improvements that we can deliver to our constituents as well as our employees through AI is immense, and it's leading to some really, really exciting things. But, as we've seen before, that puts a huge stress and workload on our IT teams. Just like I talked about before with, during the pandemic when everybody wanted the digital first of everything. Neat, I loved it. But that's a lot to handle when everything was moving digital, and I had to protect everything, including, bringing that digital first type of experience, because as we start giving, the power to a lot of these AI agents, as we start implementing more and more devices, those are all points that are vulnerabilities, potential vulnerabilities. So lots being put on our IT leaders, and it's great. It's, hey, we see this fancy box out there. It says it does some really neat stuff. Make it happen. Okay, how? Do you know what goes into it? So we're having those conversations, and that's a lot. So as you've seen today, and a couple of the announcements we made, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to ease that burden of adoption for AI for our IT leaders as well, to start automating, with the announcement of Canvas and being able to have contextual awareness where you can use a large language model, a chatbot, to interact with your network, your security, across the board. This is something that we want to bring to make it easier to not only start implementing AI, but also to understand how it's affecting your current environments and your networks as well. And one of the biggest issues is that threat vector. So as more and more of these AI agents start coming into reality, the threat landscape continues to increase, because right now, one of the biggest things is the fact that these AI agents are given power to actually execute tasks, to make changes. And so now this whole entire concept, which we'll get to, about zero trust, everybody, knows about zero trust. Raise your hand if you know about zero trust. Everybody, yeah, thank you. I knew it, I know. I always hate when people make me raise my hand too, so apologies. But this concept of zero trust that we've known about, where we have to make sure that it's a constant, focus on what is a device doing, what is a user doing? Are they doing what they said they're doing? It's this constant checking in on access. Now we're bringing in agents, all with different data sets, and they're able to actually accomplish tasks. They're actually able to make, execute actual actions. And so what's really scary about that is the fact that it only takes one of those data sources for one of those agents to be corrupted to infect the entire realm of your entire swarm of agents. So all these expert agents that we've heard about that are doing some really, really neat things, that to me is really exciting, but also really scary as well. Because the amount that needs to happen, or the amount of change that needs to happen in a negative way to the data for one of these AI agents is very minute, and it affects every other aspect of your expert of agents, which is kind of terrifying. Because a lot of this is done in a way that you don't even realize for months, potentially even years. And so the rising costs of these types of cybersecurity attacks are only increasing, because as amazing as these AI tools are, we've all used them to create things, generate videos, images. As amazing as those things are, those are in the hands of our adversaries as well, and it's constant. And this is all automated. So a lot of the attacks that we see that used to be kind of script attacks. Everyone was, has known or used something that is, the script kiddies that throw these scripts out. They do a lot of DDoS attacks, things like that. Well, now these types of attacks are being, they're advancing to more sophisticated attacks, and it's starting to drive a massive cost for our government agencies. So, security is at the foremost of our thought process here at Cisco, is that we're not interested in doing AI, we're interested in doing secure AI. And how we do that, and how we're helping a lot of our government agencies, both federal, state and local, as well as internationally, is helping them adopt a unified approach to security. No longer can you actually have one agency or one department running a different security framework, or have different access requirements or protocols compared to other ones. We have to unify this. It's the only way that we can actually address the growing threat, and also address how we actually understand and capture the data to understand what's going on in our networks and our environments as well. And so that starts with zero trust. And zero trust, not only, as we talked about it at the keynote today, not only about zero trust for the users and devices, which we're all familiar with, but the zero trust now for these AI agents, these AI workloads. We're treating them the same. It is implicit, access to only what they're allowed to have, constant updating to understand where they're making changes, have an audit trail that we understand. We showed the audit trail today as well. And so a lot of these new products that we're showcasing are based around the fact that we understand, as neat as this stuff is, the amount of different security issues that it's creating is quite vast. And today you heard that we're unifying some dashboards. I don't know, as a former customer, I don't know how many of you ever thought you'd hear that from Cisco, but that was a breath of fresh air, is that we're bringing everything to a unified dashboard. And the reason that we're doing these things is to simplify the management and the use of AI for a lot of our IT and government agencies. And so as we start looking at how we can provide this comprehensive cybersecurity approach, we started bringing a ton of different products. The AI Canvas that we announced today, DJ Sampath got up there and showcased, something live, which I think was amazing because we usually, don't show things live as an actual demo. But bringing this comprehensive security posture with things such as, DPU-powered switches. So is everybody familiar with DPU-powered switches? What they can actually accomplish? How we can run now software on these switches to basically create a net of basically a mesh firewall to basically do packet inspection before it even gets to a centralized location. That's something that is really, really unique and something that we're starting to drive more and more. More and more of our federal agencies are all about that. The ability that we now have a Splunk to ingest that data from Cisco security products is exciting for free. And we're doing a lot of this to enable our workforce and our government agencies to really combat this new, age of AI risk. And this is no longer something that is just a enterprise risk. This has a lot of geopolitical, concerns behind it. This is basically something that is really almost national security level, especially for our federal government. This is a national security risk, and this is something we're addressing. So of all these different new products that we've announced today, and how we're integrating our existing products, again, it's all driving to that zero trust type mindset and framework across users, devices, as well as the agents and the data itself. And then also providing this all through our security cloud. We talked about that, how we're unifying this all. We're going to have a single dashboard. It's going to be, something where you have information at your fingertips across your network, your security, all in one easy to, view location, which is really exciting. And it's all driving to, again, that zero trust model where we're establishing that trust for our devices, users, AI agents. We're constantly verifying that trust, but we're also helping our customers do something which I think some of us don't want to talk about, but it's the fourth one, the respond in that change of trust. What happens when there is a vulnerability detected? What happens when an AI agent does become a vulnerability and actually execute malicious code? How do we respond? So that's, again, a huge focal point that we're having a lot with our government agencies as well as our federal customers across the world, is because everyone thinks that we can just put AI in everything and we're all protected, everything's great. I wish it was true. With AI, our Cisco's AI-powered cybersecurity products, our hardware, our software, we can mitigate that risk down to a very minute level, but I can never eliminate it for you. So what we do is we set up workshops and we walk through with our customers to understand, how are you going to respond when something does happen? It's one of the most important things that we have to consider. And how we do that is powered through all the different AI-powered cybersecurity tools that we have that are bringing that AI-powered advanced threat detection, that are streamlining and simplifying operations by unifying dashboards and presenting all of the critical information, not all of the information. It's like, when one of my little girls tells me a story, and she's telling me a story at school, and she comes and she says, "Dad, we went out to recess today, and the sun was blue, and there's some rocks on the ground. I think I saw an ant." It's like, all right, get to the point. I don't need all the information. And it's the same concept that we're having here with all this information that is being generated by not only AI, but our own products that are showing you a ton of information. That is just noise. So we're filtering that noise out so we can streamline the operations and get you the critical information that you absolutely need. And then finally, automate that incident response. Let's not wait for human detection to understand how we react. Let's make sure that we're leveraging AI-powered tools that follow human guidelines and have human interaction to say, detection, an intrusion detection has been identified. How would you like to remediate this? But having a subsequent plan and procedures that follow that action item when you tell the agent how to actually address the vulnerability. And all of that comes down to data. Data is key. Data is key to everything. I don't care how advanced the AI model is. Data in determines data out. So if the AI model is fantastic and you put in terrible data, you're getting terrible results. And so one of the other things that we're working with a lot of our customers on is to address how they handle data, how they curate data, how they vectorize it, Working with a lot of partners like Vast, and one of our partners here, OnStack. They have a product called Constellation. I encourage everyone here to go check that out afterwards. That is going to give you visibility into every application, every node it touches, no matter what switch, and tell you exactly where it's talking, who it's talking to, why, and be able to make changes based on that. And these are the types of data points that we have baked into every single one of our products. And this isn't something new to us. We're big on responsible AI. We're big on maintaining the privacy for our customers. But we take all these events that we see through our Talos center, and we start baking these things into all of our products, all of our models that are driving these cybersecurity different applications that we have. So we're not just looking at the data. We're harnessing the data to drive a safer atmosphere, environment for our customers that is simplified, that drives automation orchestration, and developing things like the SOC of the future powered by Splunk and Cisco. So this is something that is becoming a massive focal point for a lot of our federal customers and federal agencies, is how we start leveraging the SOC of the future, if you will. Everything that Splunk does, the observability, capturing all that data, the data that is pertinent to understanding our environment and how we're going to protect it, and then integrating that data directly into Cisco. And as you saw in the keynote today, we're absolutely doing that. We're going to start combining these things and presenting you with these powerful tools to be able to understand and adjust on the fly. And a lot of that is being generated by a lot of these new models that we're developing, these predictive tools that are going to be able to be leveraged in all of our products across the board. We're going to start augmenting a lot of our IT professionals, really giving them the power to showcase their knowledge, their skill sets, and really start creating this new realm of expertise that I think the federal and the state and local government agency has always had, but now we're bringing it to the limelight. We're just giving you an advanced amount of different capability sets, products that are going to help you deliver AI, but in a very secure way, but a very impactful way as well. And so, as we start kind of wrapping up here, I do want to, ask some questions and pose some thoughts here. Instead of saying, okay, what are we doing with AI? Is to ask, is our network infrastructure ready for AI? Maybe you're not ready to implement AI models, but your network infrastructure absolutely needs to be, because the software vendors that you use, the different products that you use, they're implementing AI. And that's going to have an impact on the network itself. And then, of course, you want to make sure that your security posture in your network is ready for AI, because you're going to be asked to implement AI. And when you say no, we all know what happens. Shadow AI, shadow IT, crops its head up. Next thing you know, you got 15 different chatbots running off of who knows what, leaking information. So being able to respond to some of the changes that we all know that some of our users don't actually need, but they think they want, we still need to be able to deliver that, because if we don't, that's when they start creating them themselves. And so, understanding, is your network ready for this new zero trust era that now is going to be zero trust plus, zero trust for the models instead of just the users and devices? How we're going to combat a lot of this usage and where we go from here. And I encourage, everyone to check out some of the products that we announced today in real time. This isn't vaporware. This isn't something that's coming out in 2 years. G2, I mentioned it. This isn't something that has been standard for Cisco, where we announce something and say, hey, it's available in a couple months. That's what we're saying here today. That's what we have available on the floor. Really want to, ask of everyone to engage with a lot of the experts we have around these products. We have product managers. We have some of the leaders of these entire business units on the floor ready to answer your questions, ready to really showcase the power of a lot of these products. And then, of course, I have to say this, but complete the session evaluation. I do have 2 little girls, remember that, when you're giving me a good rating. They don't let me, actually go see them until it's a 5 out of 5. Just kidding, of course. But if everybody could fill out the survey, be very much appreciated. And then also, we have a couple different locations. So you'll see the digital resilience and the future-proof workplaces. We have Portfolio Explorer there that has a lot of information, especially around government. There's a team there. I'll be there myself. Be happy to answer a lot of your questions, your concerns, and really dive in as deep as you want. But a lot of times, what I always ask of our customers is, if If you want to see this in real time, let's not look at slides. Set up a workshop. Let us show you this in real time. Let us show you how this works. Let us show you how that we can implement this for you as well. So I think I covered everything. Oh, yes. So the education part. So please take advantage of all the free education that we have available here at the show and onwards. It's something that I use personally as a Cisco employee myself, but we have a lot of, Meet the Engineers. We have a lot of these demos that are happening, different sessions. Please leverage that. It's one of the greatest things that we offer, and be happy to set up any, Meet the Engineers, Whisper Suites with you as well. So again, I thank everyone for coming. I hope you're enjoying the show. If everyone, this is your first time, welcome. Everyone that's returning, welcome back. And I thank you all again, and have a wonderful day.